Are you looking for the best DSLR cameras for beginners? In this video we will look at some of the 4 best cameras on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description, so make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Starting at number 1. Canon EOS Rebel SL3. Canon might claim that the Canon EOS Rebel SL3 is the world's lightest DSLR with an articulating viewscreen, but it actually only ties models like the Nikon D5600. That's not a harsh criticism, and this is still a very lightweight camera that's genuinely comfortable to hold for extended periods of time. The trade-off is that it's not especially rugged, so think twice before buying this camera to take anywhere it's going to get caked in dirt or subjected to weather. As you would expect for an entry-level DSLR, the SL3 emphasizes fully programmed point-and-shoot simplicity, but it also has easy-to-access shutter priority, aperture priority, manual mode, and scene selections. The autofocus includes eye detection, which improves your chances of nailing the focus when taking people photos. And the 3-inch touch viewscreen fully articulates, so you can use it to frame your shots from any angle, including while positioned in front of the camera. The camera has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth built in, which makes it easy to control the camera from your smartphone as well as transfer images from the camera to your phone for fast and easy sharing. If you're on the fence trying to choose between this model and a camera like the Nikon D5600, keep in mind that this model shoots 4K video. How important that is to you depends on how much video shooting you do, but includes on an aging 9-point autofocus system, which is easily bested by most of the competition. At number 2. Canon EOS Rebel T8i. The latest member of the Rebel family is the Canon EOS Rebel T8i, and this brand new camera reflects everything Canon has learned about making a great entry-level to intermediate DSLR over the last decade or so. It's a wonderful camera that is fully modern, easy to use, and flexible enough to keep up with you as your knowledge and skills grow. But like its predecessors, it's still not the ideal choice for videophiles, despite the presence of 4K recording. Most of the things that have been said about the T7i, also reviewed in this list, apply here. It has the same 24-megapixel sensor and 45-point autofocus system, for example. You now have a slightly improved control scheme, though. The 4-way D-pad, which was always a bit of a bother, has been replaced with a control dial, and that's a marked improvement. You still get the same friendly interface on the rear screen, which is a good way for beginners to learn the ropes. And that display is articulated, so you can shoot from varying positions. Unfortunately, the optical viewfinder is a little dark. It's a problem its predecessors have had for years, but I was hoping it would finally be addressed in the T8i. Unfortunately not, though. It's a consequence of the fact that the camera family has always relied on a pentamirror rather than a pentaprism, and Canon seems intent on sticking with it. The camera's continuous shooting speed has been tweaked a bit. Now it can blast through up to about 7.5 frames per second, which is an impressive frame rate for an entry-level DSLR. The camera shoots 4K video now as well, which is a welcome improvement, except that it only records 4K at 24 frames per second, not 30, and the video is cropped. Moreover, you lose the dual-phase fast focusing in 4K, so focusing is much slower. Again, this might not be the best choice for anyone wanting to use their new DSLR primarily for video. At number 3. Nikon D3500. Nikon's D3500 is one of the best overall values in DSLRs for beginners you will find anywhere. There's a lot to admire here: superb image quality, a small lightweight body, one of the best you can find without going mirrorless, and an excellent interface that's got plenty of user-friendliness for beginners without sacrificing power for more advanced shooters. It even has Bluetooth for transferring images to your phone. The camera makes some sacrifices to meet its price point, though. For starters, it doesn't shoot 4K video, which may or may not be a showstopper for you, depending upon whether you plan to shoot video. More disappointing is the 3-inch LCD viewscreen, which is neither touch-enabled nor articulated. Compared to a lot of similar DSLRs, it feels like a relic from an earlier age. Nonetheless, you get great battery life. You can shoot about 1,500 photos on a single charge, which is hard to beat among any DSLR, and certainly any mirrorless camera. It keeps up with many of its peers with a burst mode of 5 frames per second, and the whole camera feels super fast and responsive whether you're switching modes, taking a shot, or using the autofocus, in part because the camera is so power efficient, you literally never need to turn it off. Leave it on all the time, and it's ready to shoot instantly. If anything is sluggish, it's focused in the live view mode, which isn't particularly responsive. Like some other cameras on this list, it relies on the less premium pentamirror mechanism rather than a true pentaprism, but it's not much of a compromise. At number 4. Canon EOS 77D. The Canon EOS 77D doesn't have a rebel name, and that's deliberate and quite telling. While by no means a high-end Canon DSLR, it's a step up from the entry-level Rebels. If you want a little more in the way of capabilities than Canon's many Rebel models offer, then the EOS 77D deserves your attention. Nowhere is the EOS 77D's higher-end specs more apparent than in its 45-point phase detection autofocus system. That's the most detection points of any camera in this list and puts it on similar footing to more costly and premium cameras. You get great autofocus performance both in the viewfinder and when using live view, something few entry-level cameras manage to do well. The camera also has a fully articulated 3-inch LCD screen that's touch-enabled, making this camera especially easy to navigate around. Unfortunately, Canon didn't opt to include 4K video in this model, so you're limited to 1080p video, which may not be an issue for you if you're intent mainly on still photography. Instead, you get an impressive 6 frames per second of continuous shooting speed, very close to the top of the list for a camera in this price range. You also get Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connectivity, which lets you remotely control the camera and transfer images to your phone.